You can.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of the Focus Student Information System, IST, to the tune of $4,107,520.20 over the course of 5 years.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the contract with Focus Student Information Systems, and now we'll have discussion.
Mr. Pitts.
Good evening. I know that earlier today the discussion had revolved around capital funding, how this item is going to be funded, and what capital funding can be used for. This item is going to be funded out of our capital, or else what we call local capital improvement dollars. That's also known as our 1.5 mils. We actually advertise during the tentative budget season what we're going to spend out of those funds. We can't really variate from that. There's no operating funds, no operating expenses that can be paid out of there. We pay for construction, maintenance, buses, white fleet, that sort of thing out of there. The only exception for operating expenses is the transfer that we have done some years for maintenance salaries, but we have not done the past 2 years. I don't know if there's anything else, any other questions that you might have about the capital funding or how this item is going to be funded.
You have to wait to be acknowledged, please. Yes. Mr.
Okay.
Townsend?
In looking over the full cost of it, it looks like there are some personnel positions built into it that are implementation positions. Can you sort of elaborate on that, one of the two of you?
Well, just from a funding piece, because this is a project,
right,
we can pay for that out of capital, which will save the general fund some dollars.
Right.
The specific positions.
Those are minimal recommendations for a DBA position and a project programmer trainer position added on because we have to keep our current system running
right,
while we start implementing a new system. So this was based on experience and talking with other districts on what they learned in this process.
So we're not just buying the software; we're buying the implementation as well. Like we're buying the resources we need to make it work.
That is correct. Okay. That's
And
the intent of that.
At the conclusion of this project, do the funding for those positions go away? I mean, are these essentially one-time positions for the duration?
We have them in the budget for the 2-year implementation for next year as we do the transition, and then the following year as we implement fully, and then probably by attrition, but we don't have them budgeted in the general operating budget at this time. Okay. But they are budgeted for the next 2 years.
Yeah, to be clear, I don't question that. I'm trying to make it clear to the public what we're doing. I mean, yes, the biggest problem with projects like this is that very often the personnel required to make them work, or the implementation effort to make them work, isn't made. And you know, I think any project like this in this district comes with a lot of context. It's my understanding that the LIS system, which never got off the ground 2 or 3 years ago, would have dealt with some of this. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But what I would like for you to do is tell the public why this process has been better. You've gone through a pretty extensive selection process here. You've talk about some of who you had involved in making this recommendation.
Yes, so we had an extensive committee that had representation from administrative staff at the school level, both elementary, middle, and high school, principals, APs, guidance counselors. We had key district folks that were part of the selection committee. We had them evaluate the systems. We also had a technical team evaluate the systems. We visited other districts that were implementing these systems, and we also called other districts and collected information from a variety of districts and put all of that information together. Right,
and you put together extensive lessons learned and pros and cons from the different systems you've
yes, sir.
So I mean, I think there's a pretty good packet here. In terms also of why we need to make this change now, can you explain the lack of support that this particular platform has? What's going to be replaced?
Yes, so Genesis and Pinnacle. Pinnacle is our gradebook program. Genesis is our student information system. Currently, Genesis is running on a very outdated infrastructure system, which has no more support from Microsoft. And so for security, especially data breach security concerns, we've got to move off this system.
It's a source of potential liability for us.
Yes, it absolutely is.
Okay. I think that about covers what I need. Oh, the one other thing, Superintendent, you talked about the update structure on the implementation. Can one of you guys expound on that a bit, just so we won't be having things sprung on us if a work stream starts to fall behind? What's the structure for reporting on
The
this?
structure for reporting is that Dr. Barrios will make sure we have a timeline that will be in deliverables, and we will be reviewing that in cabinet monthly, and we'll be providing a board an update monthly on where we are in the process.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilson's light's on. Please don't go anywhere. Mr. Wilson's light is on. Thank you.
I have a question. I think it's probably a very simple question. Really, it's just a clarification. This project is being paid for through capital funding, correct?
Correct.
And salaries, especially operating salaries, cannot be paid for from capital funds. Is that correct? Generally speaking, I understand they
Generally
could
speaking,
be if they were directly
yes.
related to the project.
Correct, generally speaking, yes.
Okay.
It's only under the school district rules, it's only for those maintenance salaries outside of a project. So in this case, we have salaries inside this project. When this project ends, if there was a decision to make for those positions to stay on, it would come back during the staffing plan. Those positions just wouldn't automatically stay. They would have to be added back to be funded somewhere else.
Sure.
So
And-
it just wouldn't continue.
Right. And so, as you know, we're currently engaged in negotiations with our unions, and just want to make sure that folks understand that these funds couldn't be used for those purposes.
For teacher salaries.
Teacher salaries. and-
Correct. We
Right.
could not use them for teacher salaries.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other lights. So the motion on the floor is to approve the contract with Focus Student Information System. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is to amend the contract with DESF Consultative Services.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the amended contract with DESF Consultative Services. Is there any discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And I believe the next item would be